All right, welcome back. We're going to talk about the arenas of economic policy making. Um, the government plays a big role in our economy. We function under a mixed economic system in the United States, wherein we have a market economy, but there is government regulation. Government regulation is there and designed to ensure the protection of workers, the protection of consumers, and the protection of competition overall in the marketplace. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the antitrust policy or the Clayton Antitrust Act. I have a video in the next section for you on that. In 2008, this is an instance where the government steps in to protect us. The government purchases troubled mortgage assets from the banks to help them loan money to businesses and consumers to prevent a depression. 2010 is another example in which a company, a bank, was fined millions of dollars for not disclosing mortgage investments when the housing market took a dive. The government will step in when it feels that it is a time in which consumers are in danger, as well as the economy. Another arena in which the government dips its hands into economic policymaking is protecting the consumers. The Food and Drug Act of 1906 was designed to prohibit the interstate transportation of dangerous or impure foods and drugs. Under the Food and Drug Act, which was written by Congress and passed in 1906 by the president, within that legislation, it created a bureaucratic agency or regulatory commission called the Food and Drug Administration, which can regulate the contents, the marketing, the manufacturing, and the labeling of foods and drugs that are sold. Simply put, the Food and Drug Act and the Food and Drug Administration were created and implemented to protect consumers from foods or drugs that could cause them harm. Along that same note is the Consumer Product and Safety Commission, which is a bureaucratic regulatory commission that was created to ban hazardous products from the market. Walk into any store, Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, and you'll see a recall board somewhere around customer service or the front of the store, and it will list items with a picture and a description of the item and what the contents are and the danger of that product, and that they're recalling it so that customers will bring it in so they're not harmed by that product. The Federal Trade Commission was also created to create truth in advertising and regulations on product labeling to protect us from exaggerated product claims. Also allows the use of celebrities in advertising, but very closely regulates that as well. The last one to look at would be the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Not one that we typically spend a whole lot of time on. Their goal is to ban deceptive practices by companies and to ensure the safety and fairness of new consumer financial products. Essentially financial products by corporations that involve saving and investing. Another arena for economic policymaking is the National Labor Relations Act. The government steps into the arena of labor and management. The National Labor Relations Act of 1935 was created and passed by Congress to essentially allow workers the opportunity to fight for fair working conditions and pay and such. So it's basically congressional legislation that protects unions and whatnot. The National Labor Relations Board was created by that previous act, which regulates labor and management relations. The next one you need to recognize is the Taft-Hartley Act of 1947, which prohibits unfair practices by unions. Basically, a union cannot force workers to belong to a union in order to get the job. These are known as the right to work laws. Workers have the right to get a job without being forced to join a union. Sometimes unions will impress upon workers that if they want to gain that job or keep it, they must join a union. That's not true. Labor unions have two important successes to note. One is that the government provides unemployment compensation to employees during layoffs. So if you're laid off from a job, not fired and you didn't quit, but if you were laid off, there's unemployment benefits that you are able to gain from your state that are subsidized by the federal government. The government also guarantees a minimum wage to be paid to employees for certain jobs. That obviously differs from, let's say, working as a cashier at Walmart to working as a server who waits on tables. One of the biggest downfalls when it comes to economic policy making in a democracy is that it's difficult to make decisions that hurt particular groups or that involve accepting short-term pain in return for long-term gain. We have to invest in the future, and sometimes that investment takes time to turn a profit for us. As you can see, we've come a long way from child labor laws to fair practices in the workplace to fair trade regulations between businesses to protect consumers, to protect workers, to protect businesses themselves. When government gets involved in the economy, it can be a good thing. It can have its downfalls as well. Liberals and conservatives have a tendency to differ on this. Liberals want more government involvement. Conservatives want less. So you get the picture.